Nick Cannon's 5-month-old son, Zen, has passed away from brain cancer. So the Masked Singer host announced the devastating news on his eponymous talk show Tuesday morning, breaking down in tears as he detailed his son's private health battle with hydrocephalus and a tumor. I always noticed he had a cough, and so I wanted to check it out, Cannon, 41, explained. He always had this real interesting breathing, and then by the time he was 2 months old, I noticed he had a nice sized head. I call it a cannon head. We didn't think anything about it, but I really wanted to take him to the doctor for the breathing and to get his sinuses checked out. We thought it would be a routine process. So Cannon and Alyssa Scott welcomed Zen in July, and the family learned that Zen, who was Cannon's seventh child, had been building up fluid in his brain that turned out to be a malignant tumor. Baby Zen underwent surgery to have a shunt put into the drain the fluid. Unfortunately, the Tot's health took a turn near Thanksgiving, so Cannon flew out to Los Angeles to be with Zen and Scott. This weekend, I made a valid effort to spend the most quality time I could spend with Zen. We woke up on Sunday and went to the ocean, and then I had to fly back to New York for the show. He shared, breaking down in tears. By the time I got in the car and was headed to the airport, I had to turn around. Kennan then tearfully shared that he held his son for the last time on Sunday. You can't heal until you feel, he told the audience, adding that he's at work so soon after because it serves as a distraction. He called the episode a celebration of life for Zen. So after Kanan shared the news with his viewers, Alyssa shared a photo of Zen in her arms, lying with his eyes closed, on her Instagram story. And the thing to really get from this situation, right, is that one, anything can happen to anyone, right? Especially when it comes down to cancer, because literally anyone, for any reason, could end up just getting it, right? You could be the healthiest person in the world and you could end up getting it. You could eat a completely clean diet and still get it, right? You could smoke a pack of cigarettes every single day and never get it, right? This is like a very big health issue that a lot of people need to understand, that like no one really understands it in terms of like why do some people get it and some people don't, right? But another thing to really understand, let's change who might have had this, right? Let's say that it was Nick Cannon who ended up having this sort of cancer, right? If he were to get it, the amount of people that his passing would affect, financially speaking, could end up basically devastating multiple people because he has multiple kids with a bunch of different women, right? So, financially speaking, this is not going to be a burden for Nick Cannon. This is horrible, right? But he is in a financial situation where all he has to do is mourn, which is sadly the most ideal situation in this sort of thing, where you want to be able to just mourn the loss of a loved one and not have to worry about all these financial issues surrounding it, right? This is why you need to get health insurance. This is why you need to get life insurance so that you can just mourn, right? So that you could actually just be like, hey, this is really crappy. I'm super sad. I don't know how to deal with this. And you could just make that your focus, right? Instead of being so burdened by everyday life that you don't even have the time to be like, hey, I just lost someone that I love, right? And that's the way that you really gotta like think about it. Because look, I know a lot of people don't necessarily want to like care about finances, especially in like situations like this, but it's very important, right? Because again, Let's say that it was Nick Cannon who ended up getting this cancer, right? Everyone that relies on his source of income, if they did not have life insurance, if they did not have health insurance, would be so focused on paying bills, on just trying to financially survive, that they couldn't even mourn the loss of him, right? And that's the thing that people need to understand. And life insurance, health insurance is important for pretty much everyone. Health insurance is like, especially, right? But if there's someone that relies on your income, you need life insurance as well. So if you are like the breadwinner in your family, you need to get life insurance, right? If you're like a single parent and your kids completely rely on your income to survive, you need life insurance, right? If you are the only person bringing in any income in your household, maybe you have like a stay at home wife or a stay at home husband, you need life insurance, right? Now, you don't need life insurance if you're a kid. You don't need life insurance if you're like a teenager. And you don't really need life insurance if you're just like a single adult, right? But you do need good health insurance because anything can happen, right? Health insurance is one of the most important things for someone to end up buying. And I know a lot of young people are going to be like, oh, there's nothing that's going to happen to me. I'm pretty healthy, blah, blah, blah kind of stuff. Even if you're not healthy, you're like, oh, I don't want to spend like a few $100 a month, whatever kind of stuff on that, right? Here's the thing, if you have to, go get like a side job or like a part time job so that you could simply have health insurance because health insurance is extremely important. I mean, extremely important. If anything catastrophic were to happen to you, you are screwed. You are 100% financially screwed if something were to happen. It's like the equivalent of you driving a car without car insurance and you end up getting into a massive car wreck that you're at fault and you end up hitting like a Lamborghini, a Porsche, or not even. You maybe just total somebody else's car. You can't afford that. You cannot afford the financial burden of that. And people need to understand that bad things can happen in life and you need to prepare for it so that you could just deal with it emotionally and not be so focused on it financially to the point where you don't even really think straight, right? And that's something to really absorb. This is something that you really need to understand, right? Because anything can happen and you just want to prepare yourself. Like you want to prepare for the worst, always hope for the best, right? So if you're listening to this and you are either a single dad, a single mother, or the breadwinner, and you have kids, right? Or let's say that you are married to someone who might be gravely ill right now, or maybe they're just, disabled, or maybe they just can't make an income, right? And if something were to happen to you where if your income was lost, they would be screwed, if you care about them, get life insurance. And really, the recommendation is to really focus on getting like term life insurance and roughly about 5 to 10 times what you make every single year. So let's say that you make 50 grand a year, you want about 500 grand of life insurance, right? Personally, I would actually want you to rather have like a million of like short term or of term life insurance just because sometimes something catastrophic might end up happening and you could end up just making their life a lot easier if something horrendous were to happen to you. And typically, term life insurance is usually pretty cheap, right? Especially compared to whole life insurance, which is just basically a scam. So that's something to really think about. If you want to learn how to get out of debt, go to 40inbox.com. Either way, this is something to really learn from this situation that something catastrophic could end up happening, and you really want to plan for things like this. We'll see you in future episodes. Feel free to give your thoughts about this situation.